So there I was, sipping a $12 caramel macchiato while watching my husband's affair unfold in real time on my Nest Cam feed. Because apparently, modern marriage requires modern surveillance. I'm Pearl Bishop, 45, and I've spent the last 18 years perfecting the art of spreadsheets, tax returns, and willful ignorance. My husband, Floyd Bishop, 47, was a senior loan officer at First Carolina Bank. The kind of guy who wore khakis to the beach and thought adventure meant ordering the special at Applebee's. We live in one of those cookie-cutter subdivisions outside Wilmington where every third house has the same gray siding and every HOA meeting feels like a trial at The Hague. No kids. Floyd always said he wasn't ready, which in hindsight meant he wanted to keep his options open. 20 years of marriage, and his biggest commitment was to his Thursday afternoon banking conference calls. Here's the thing about being a CPA. You notice patterns. You notice when your husband, who thinks craft beer is too fancy, suddenly has $450 charges at Wine and Design every Thursday at 3 p.m. You notice when he starts showering before he comes home from work instead of after. You notice when he buys cologne that actually smells good instead of that drugstore nonsense he's worn since 2008. But noticing is one thing. Doing something about it? That requires strategy. The affair started, as far as I could trace, about 14 months ago, right after Ivy Mercer coordinated Floyd's surprise 46th birthday party at the country club. Ivy, 38, all blonde highlights and yoga pants, the kind of woman who calls everyone babe and posts inspirational quotes about living authentically while banging married men. She runs some boutique event planning business called Magnolia Moments that caters to the wine mom who married money demographic. And speaking of married money, Ivy has a husband, Corbin Everett, 42, architect at Everett and Associates, specializing in coastal residential design. I'd seen him at exactly 2 neighborhood functions, both times standing alone nursing a beer while Ivy worked the room like a politician at a fundraiser. Tall, quiet, the kind of guy who actually listens when you talk, which probably explained why Ivy found him boring. The Thursday pattern held for months. Floyd would announce some emergency branch meeting or regional compliance training, kiss me on the cheek like we were roommates splitting utilities, and disappear for 4 hours. I tracked his phone once, straight to our beach house in Wrightsville Beach, the one we bought 7 years ago as an investment that we used maybe twice a year, because Floyd always complained about the drive. Apparently, the drive was much more tolerable when Ivy was the destination. I could have confronted him, screamed, cried, thrown his golf clubs into the Cape Fear River like a civilized, scorned wife. But here's what 18 years of marriage to a mediocre man teaches you. Confrontation gives them time to prepare, time to craft excuses, move assets, call lawyers who play golf with them on Saturdays. No, I'm a CPA. I audit, I document, I plan. The plan crystallized 3 weeks ago when I was sitting in the Target parking lot, because that's where you have existential revelations in suburbia, scrolling through Ivy's Instagram. She'd posted a story, grateful for my amazing husband who works so hard, with a photo of Corbin at his drafting table, completely absorbed in blueprints, wedding ring clearly visible. That's when it hit me. Corbin didn't know. He was working 70-hour weeks building dream homes for other families while his wife was redecorating my beach house with her affair fog. And something about that felt exploitable. I did my research. Everett and Associates had an impeccable reputation, featured in Coastal Living twice, specialized in historic preservation and hurricane-resistant design. Corbin himself had a degree from NC State's School of Architecture, volunteer work with Habitat for Humanity, exactly 0 social media presence. The anti-Ivy. Perfect. I called his office on a Monday morning, used my professional female voice that's 10% higher than my natural register because that's what gets male receptionists to transfer you. Everett and Associates, how may I direct your call? Hi, this is Pearl Mitchell, maiden name, untraceable, calling about a potential structural assessment for insurance purposes. I own a property in Wrightsville Beach, and I've seen Mr. Everett's work in Coastal Living. Would he be available for a consultation? Nothing puffs up an architect's ego like citing their magazine feature. The receptionist practically purred. Mr. Everett would be delighted. He has an opening this Thursday afternoon. Perfect. 3 p.m.? I held my breath. 3 p.m. works beautifully. I gave her the address. Our beach house address. The one where my husband would be horizontal with Ivy at approximately 3:15 p.m. based on 14 months of AirTag data. I'll leave the door unlocked, I said, voice steady as a spreadsheet column. I have a business meeting I can't reschedule, but Mr. Everett can conduct the full inspection. I trust his professional judgment completely. She bought it. Why wouldn't she? I sounded like every other coastal property owner trying to get their insurance claim approved. I spent the next 3 days in a state of calm I can only describe as sociopathic. Made Floyd his favorite dinner, meatloaf, because he has the palate of a 1950s dad. Kissed him goodbye Thursday morning. Watched him pretend to pack his conference materials that definitely weren't condoms and breath mints. Don't wait up, he said, adjusting his tie in the hallway mirror. This compliance thing might run late. No problem, I smiled. I've got plenty to keep me busy. At 2:45 p.m. Thursday, I was set up in the Starbucks across from Wrightsville Beach. Laptop open, VPN connected to the Nest cams I'd forgotten to mention to Floyd. The cameras I'd installed 6 months ago under the guise of property security. At 2:52 p.m., Floyd's Lexus pulled into the driveway. Alone. At 2:58 p.m., Ivy's white Mercedes arrived. She was wearing a sundress. How original. At 3:04 p.m., they were in the bedroom. I'll spare you the details, but let's say Floyd demonstrated more enthusiasm than he had in our marriage since the first Bush administration. At 3:12 p.m., I got the notification. Motion detected at front door. Corbin Everett had arrived. On time. With a professional toolkit that probably cost more than my car. And I sat back, sipped my overpriced coffee, and watched Karma clock in for her shift. Here's what they don't tell you about watching your marriage implode in real time through a security camera. The resolution is really good. Like, uncomfortably good. I could see the wrinkles in the duvet cover I'd picked out at HomeGoods 3 years ago. The one Floyd said was too expensive at $89. The camera feed showed Corbin standing in the foyer, methodically unpacking his equipment. Moisture meter, thermal imaging camera, clipboard with what looked like a pre-inspection checklist. This man came prepared to find problems, just not these problems. Meanwhile, upstairs, Floyd was creating structural issues of an entirely different nature. I took another sip of my macchiato and tried to calculate exactly how long it would take Corbin to make his way to the primary bedroom. The house was 2,400 square feet. Professional inspection? Thorough guy. I gave it 20 minutes. Maybe 25 if he started in the crawl space. He started in the living room. Watching Corbin work was like watching the world's most sincere person do the world's most earnest job. He checked every outlet, ran the moisture meter along the baseboards, made notes in actual handwriting, not phone dictation. Meanwhile, the audio feed from the bedroom was picking up sounds that would have made a monastery blush. The cognitive dissonance was chef's kiss. At 3:19 p.m., Corbin moved to the kitchen. He was checking the caulking around the sink when Ivy's laugh echoed through the house ventilation system. High-pitched, performative. The kind of laugh that says, "I'm having more fun than you've ever had in your entire boring life, husband." Corbin's head tilted. Like a dog hearing a frequency only he could detect. He checked his phone. Frowned. Put it away. Kept working. I'd done my homework on Corbin Everett. Not just professional, personal. His firm's website had a bio. Married 12 years, met Ivy in college, worked his way through grad school doing residential framing. The American dream in khakis and a tape measure. No social media except a dormant LinkedIn that looked like someone's assistant set it up and forgot about it. Ivy, on the other hand, had 14,000 Instagram followers watching her curate lifestyle moments and post photos of date nights that were probably taken 6 months apart and posted strategically to maintain the illusion of marital bliss. The math wasn't mathing, as the kids say. At 3:27 p.m., Corbin started up the stairs. I leaned closer to my laptop screen. An elderly couple at the next table gave me a concerned look. Probably thought I was watching something inappropriate. If only they knew I was watching something very appropriate. justice taking the stairs one deliberate step at a time. Floyd and Ivy had moved from the bedroom to the ensuite shower, because apparently my water bill wasn't high enough. I could see steam creeping under the bathroom door on the camera feed. Corbin reached the landing, checked the hallway smoke detector, noted something on his clipboard, moved toward the primary bedroom with the methodical pace of someone who charged $175 an hour and delivered $175 worth of thoroughness. The bedroom door was open. They'd left it open, because when you're having an affair in someone else's beach house, operational security apparently takes a vacation. I held my breath. Corbin entered the bedroom, walked straight to the window to check the seal. His back was to the bathroom door. I watched him run his hand along the window frame, completely absorbed in checking for rot or water damage. The shower turned off. Corbin didn't notice. He was photographing some crack in the drywall near the ceiling. The bathroom door opened. Floyd walked out first, towel around his waist, hair wet, looking like every middle-aged man who thinks 20 minutes of cardio makes him a triathlete. He was mid-sentence. "Best investment we ever made, babe. I'm telling you, we could come here every—" He stopped. Corbin stopped. I stopped breathing. The silence lasted exactly 4 seconds. I know because I counted. Then Floyd did what Floyd does best. He panicked like a mediocre man who's never faced consequences. "Who the hell are you?" "Wrong move, Floyd." So wrong. Corbin just stood there, thermal camera in hand, looking at Floyd. Then at Ivy, who'd appeared behind Floyd wearing one of my robes, the Turkish cotton one I bought myself for our anniversary, because Floyd gave me a Kohl's gift card. "Corbin?" Ivy's voice went up 3 octaves. "Why are you—" "I'm conducting a structural inspection," Corbin said. His voice was so calm it was almost eerie. "For the property owner, Pearl Mitchell. She had an appointment conflict." I loved him a little bit in that moment. Floyd's face went through a color spectrum that would have impressed Sherwin Williams. "Inspection? There's no, this is my house." "Your house?" Corbin looked at his paperwork. "The deed lists Pearl Bishop as primary owner. Are you Pearl Bishop?" The silence was delicious. That's my wife," Floyd stammered. "She must have— This is a mistake." "I see." Corbin's eyes moved from Floyd to Ivy, to the unmade bed, to my bathrobe, back to Ivy. "Hello, Ivy." "Corbin, I can explain." "I'm sure you can." He made another note on his clipboard. "Unfortunately, I need to complete this inspection. The crawl space still needs assessment, and I suspect there's significant moisture damage." He paused. "In multiple areas." I almost spit out my coffee. Floyd tried to salvage something. "Now listen here. We can work this out, man to man." "I don't think so," Corbin interrupted. "I have professional obligations. The property owner is paying for a thorough assessment." He gestured toward the door. "I need to check the bathroom fixtures. Water damage concerns. If you're not the owner, I'm going to have to ask you to vacate the premises." The absolute audacity. The beautiful, professional audacity. Ivy was crying now. Real tears, not the decorative kind she posted on Instagram with captions about vulnerable moments. "Corbin, please, let's just go home and talk." "I can't," he said simply. "I'm working, and you're clearly busy." He checked his watch. "I need another 45 minutes to complete the inspection. Perhaps you two should continue your meeting elsewhere." Floyd grabbed his clothes. Ivy grabbed hers. They dressed faster than teenagers at a drive-in when the cops show up. The whole time, Corbin just stood there, measuring the window frame with a laser device, acting like he was alone in the house. They left at 3:34 p.m. Ivy's Mercedes peeled out first, gravel spraying. Floyd's Lexus followed 30 seconds later. Corbin watched them go from the bedroom window. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. I answered on the first ring. "Ms. Mitchell? This is Corbin Everett. I've completed the preliminary inspection. We need to talk about your property's structural integrity, and possibly your choice in tenants." "Mr. Everett," I said, watching him through my laptop screen from across the street. "I think that conversation should happen in person. Are you free for coffee? There's a Starbucks nearby." Through the camera, I saw him almost smile. "I think that would be very professional of us," he said. "I'll be there in 10 minutes. I closed my laptop, ordered a second macchiato, and waited for Act 3 to begin. Corbin Everett walked into Starbucks looking exactly like a man who'd just discovered his wife's affair and somehow maintained professional composure. Slightly shell-shocked, but holding it together with architectural precision. He spotted me immediately. I'd described myself over the phone. Brunette, blue blazer, corner table near the window. But I think he would have found me anyway. There's a recognition that happens between people who've both been betrayed. Like a secret handshake, except nobody's shaking hands and everyone's dead inside. "Ms. Mitchell," he said, extending his hand. Firm grip. No wedding ring. He'd taken it off in the car, I noticed. "Pearl," I said, "and I think we can drop the pretense. You know who I am." He sat down, placed his clipboard on the table between us like evidence in a deposition. "Pearl Bishop. Property deed search took 30 seconds. Floyd Bishop, joint owner. Your husband. For now." "For now," he echoed. He looked at me directly, really looked, and I saw the exact moment he decided I wasn't the enemy. "How long have you known?" 14 months, give or take. You?" "About 18 minutes. He laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that comes out when the alternative is throwing furniture. "I thought she was working late, Thursday nights, every week. She said she had events, clients, consultations." He rubbed his face. "God, I'm an idiot." "You're not an idiot. You're someone who trusted his wife. There's a difference." "Is there?" He looked out the window toward the beach. "I build houses for a living. I literally study foundations, load-bearing walls, structural integrity. And I couldn't see that my own marriage was collapsing. I let him sit with that for a moment. Then, the inspection. That was brilliant, by the way. The moisture damage comment? Chef's kiss. That got a real smile. Small, but real. Professional instincts. When you find rot, you document it." He opened his clipboard, showed me his notes. Actual notes. Detailed sketches of the bedroom layout, timestamps, observations written in architectural shorthand. Habit. You're thorough. It's saved me in court before. Clients try to claim I miss things. I never miss things. His jaw tightened. Apparently, except my wife's affair with a middle-aged bank manager in dad khakis. "Hey now, those are expensive dad khakis. Joe's a bank." He snorted. Then his face got serious. "Why did you do this? The fake inspection. You could have just confronted them." "Could have. But confrontation gives people time to prepare. To lawyer up, move money, craft narratives." I pulled out my own folder, much thicker than his clipboard. "I'm a CPA, Corbin. I don't confront. I audit." I showed him the spreadsheets. 14 months of credit card statements, hotel receipts that Floyd thought I didn't see, the wine and design charges, suspicious Venmo payments to event supplies that Ivy documented on her business account, GPS tracking data, phone records I'd pulled through our family plan, text message timestamps that corresponded with his late meetings. Corbin went pale. "This is comprehensive? Obsessive? Legally obtained evidence of adultery that North Carolina law still considers relevant in divorce proceedings?" I was going to say impressive, but all of that too. He flipped through the pages, his architect's eye cataloging information. "You've been planning this for 6 months, since I confirmed it wasn't just suspicion." I pulled out another document. "Here's what I know about your situation. Ivy's business, Magnolia Moments, is an LLC, filed under her name, but you're listed as a 40% investor. Did you know that? I gave her startup capital, $40,000, 3 years ago, which legally makes you a stakeholder. The business has been profitable. Very profitable. She's been grossing about $180,000 annually. I showed him her business tax returns. Publicly filed, perfectly legal to access. But she's only been reporting half of that. The rest goes into a separate account. An account Floyd has been helping her hide." His jaw went tight. "Banking fraud. The SEC might call it creative accounting. The IRS would call it tax evasion." I smiled. "I'd call it stupid, because you should never hide money from your CPA wife." Corbin stared at the documents like they were blueprints for a building he couldn't quite believe existed. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you need leverage." and because I need an ally. I leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. Floyd will try to claim the beach house as a marital asset. He'll argue for half. But the deed is in my name. I bought it before we married with inheritance from my grandmother. It's separate property. He has no claim. Okay? But he'll try. And his lawyer will be expensive. And drawn out. Unless he's sufficiently motivated to settle quickly and quietly. I tapped Ivy's tax documents. These are motivation. Financial fraud investigation? Potential criminal charges? His banking career imploding when the board finds out he's been helping his mistress commit tax evasion? He'll sign whatever I put in front of him. Corbin was quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you need from me? File for divorce, this week. Cite adultery. North Carolina is still a fault state. You can use that. When Ivy tries to claim half your assets, you show her these. I pushed copies of her financial documents across the table. She can either settle for nothing, or you report the fraud. Her choice. That's blackmail. That's negotiation. Blackmail would be if I asked for money. I'm just offering information that might help you in divorce proceedings. I smiled. Besides, she actually committed fraud. I'm just suggesting you hold her accountable. He looked at the documents. At me. Back at the documents. You're terrifying. I'm a woman who's been underestimated for 18 years. There's a difference. Fair point. He gathered the papers, slid them into his portfolio case. What's your timeline? I'm filing Monday. My lawyer's already drafted everything. I've been ready for 2 months. I pulled out my phone, showed him my attorney's contact info. This is Sharon Caldwell, best divorce attorney in Wilmington. Expensive, but worth it. She has a colleague who specializes in cases like yours, Marcus Webb. I already called him. He's expecting to hear from you. Corbin saved the contact. You've thought of everything. Not everything. I didn't think I'd actually like you. I meant it. Ivy always called you boring. You're not boring, you're competent. There's a difference. She called me boring? At parties, book club, whenever anyone asked about you. I softened my voice. I'm sorry. You deserved better. So did you. He looked at me. Really looked. And something shifted. Not romantic. Not yet. Too soon. But recognition. Understanding. We both deserved better. Yes. And now we're going to get it. I stood up, extended my hand. Partners? He shook it. Partners. Good, because here's phase 2. I'm hosting a dinner party. Saturday night, small gathering. Just close friends from the neighborhood, the country club set. Floyd and I are working on our marriage publicly, so he'll have to come. And it would be completely natural for me to invite Ivy. After all, she did such a wonderful job with Floyd's birthday party. Corbin's eyes widened. I'm going to let everyone who matters in this town see exactly who they've been socializing with. Let them see Floyd and Ivy try to act normal while you and I watch them squirm. I smiled. And Monday morning, we both file, simultaneously, before they even know what hit them. That's diabolical. That's strategy. I grabbed my purse. Oh, and Corbin, bring your lawyer to the party, as your friend. Marcus is very charming at social events, and it'll be good for Floyd to see you have representation before he knows why. He stood up, and for the first time since walking into Starbucks, Corbin Everett smiled like he meant it. I'm starting to see why Floyd was stupid enough to cheat. You're intimidating when you're happy. Can't imagine what you're like when you're angry. You're about to find out. Saturday, 7 p.m. Bring wine. What kind? The expensive kind. We're celebrating. He left. I sat back down, ordered a third coffee, decaf this time because I needed to sleep eventually, and opened my phone. One text to Floyd. Dinner party Saturday. Casual. Country club friends. Wear the blue shirt. One text to Ivy. Hi. Would love to have you and Corbin over Saturday night. Small gathering. Just friends. Floyd speaks so highly of your event planning skills. 7 p.m.? Both responded within minutes. Both said yes. Hook, line, sinker. Chess, it turns out, is much more satisfying than checkers. Saturday night arrived with the kind of perfect coastal weather that real estate agents describe as ideal, entertaining conditions. 72 degrees, light breeze, sunset scheduled for 7:43 p.m., right when dessert would be served, and the social massacre would reach its crescendo. I'd spent Friday preparing. Not cooking. I ordered from that overpriced farm-to-table place downtown that the country club wives pretend to hate, but secretly love. No, I spent Friday preparing the stage. Floyd had no idea what was coming. He'd been suspiciously attentive since Thursday, probably wondering if Corbin had said anything. He kept asking if everything was okay, with that nervous energy of a man who knows he's guilty, but isn't sure if he's caught. Everything's perfect, I'd told him Friday night. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Quality time with friends. He'd smiled with visible relief. Idiot. The guest list was surgical. Margaret and Tom Preston from the HOA board. Margaret volunteered at Floyd's Bank's Charity Foundation. Dr. Linda Sheffield and her husband Paul. Linda was on the hospital board with Ivy. Always hired her for fundraisers. Casey and Jennifer Walsh. Jennifer ran the book club where Ivy had literally called Corbin boring 6 weeks ago. And of course, Corbin, with his friend Marcus Webb, attorney at law, who looked like he'd walked out of a Brooks Brothers catalog. Ivy arrived at 7:08 p.m. wearing a white lace dress that probably cost more than my couch. She'd brought wine, Camus, because she only dealt in obvious choices, and that performative smile she used when she wanted people to think she was gracious. Pearl, thank you so much for inviting us. Air kiss. Cloud of perfume that cost $200 and smelled like desperation. Your home is gorgeous. Floyd always talks about how talented you are at decorating. Floyd, standing behind her with his own bottle of wine, looked like he was sweating through his blue shirt. The expensive blue shirt I'd bought him for our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. Corbin arrived 10 minutes later with Marcus. Corbin wore dark jeans and a button-down, casual but put together, the kind of outfit that said, "I'm not trying, but I still look better than your husband." Marcus was all charm, shaking hands, complimenting the house, making small talk about the Wilmington real estate market. When Corbin and Ivy made eye contact, you could have heard a pin drop in the Cape Fear River. "Corbin," Ivy said, voice tight, "I didn't know you were coming. Pearl invited us. Marcus is an old colleague. We were discussing a project." Corbin's smile was architectural, perfectly designed, zero warmth. "You look nice. New dress?" Yes, recent purchase." "Well, expensive?" The room got very quiet. Floyd tried to intervene. "Hey, buddy, how about a drink? Pearl makes a killer old-fashioned." "I'm fine," Corbin said. "Marcus?" "Bourbon. Neat, if you have it." Marcus was enjoying this. I could tell. I played hostess perfectly. Got drinks, guided conversation, let the appetizers circulate. The other guests sensed something was off but couldn't quite identify it. Like when you walk into a room and know people were just talking about you. Dinner was served at 7:35. I'd arranged the seating strategically. Floyd at one head of the table, me at the other. Ivy to Floyd's left. Corbin directly across from Ivy. Marcus next to Corbin. Everyone else filling in the gaps. The tension was exquisite. Margaret Preston, bless her gossipy heart, broke the ice. "So, Ivy, how's business? I heard Magnolia Moments is doing wonderfully." "Oh, yes," Ivy said, reaching for her wine glass like it was a life preserver. "Very busy. Lots of events this season. Thursday nights must be exhausting," I said pleasantly, passing the bread basket. "All those consultations." Ivy's hand froze halfway to her mouth. Floyd started coughing. Actually coughing. Like his body was trying to evacuate his soul. Corbin just stared at his plate, but I saw the corner of his mouth twitch. Dr. Linda Sheffield, oblivious, jumped in. "Oh, Ivy, before I forget, I need to discuss the hospital gala budget. Your invoice seemed higher than we discussed." "Well, there were additional costs." "Funny thing about costs," Marcus interjected smoothly. "I work in financial law. Always fascinated by how business expenses get categorized, especially when it comes to tax time." He smiled at Ivy. "You must have an excellent accountant." Ivy went white. Yes. Very good. Very thorough." "Not thorough enough," Corbin said quietly. The table went silent. "What?" Ivy's voice cracked. Your accountant. Not thorough enough. I've been reviewing the business finances. As a 40% investor, it's my right. And there seem to be some discrepancies. Corbin looked at her directly, almost like someone's been running two sets of books. Floyd set down his fork. Corbin, maybe this isn't the time. Oh, I think it's exactly the time. Corbin's voice was calm, steady, terrifying. See, I spent yesterday with my attorney. Marcus, actually. We had a very enlightening conversation about financial fraud, tax evasion, and what happens when bank employees help clients hide income from the IRS. Floyd's face went from red to gray. Margaret Preston gasped. Jennifer Walsh pulled out her phone, probably already composing the book club group text. You can't, Ivy started. Can't what? Can't ask questions about my own investment? Can't wonder why my wife has been spending every Thursday afternoon for 14 months claiming to work late when she's actually... He stopped, smiled. But you know what? Let's not air everything here. Let's just say that I've filed for divorce. This morning, actually. Papers were served at 5 p.m. today. You probably didn't notice because you were getting ready for this dinner party. Ivy stood up so fast her chair tipped over. You bastard! Sit down, Marcus said pleasantly. Unless you want to make this worse, and trust me, it can get worse. The IRS tends to frown on unreported income. So does the SEC when bank employees are involved. Floyd stood up too. Now wait just a goddamn minute. No, Floyd, you wait. I stood, and something about my tone made everyone else shut up. I also filed for divorce. This morning. Sharon Caldwell. Maybe you've heard of her? Best divorce attorney in Wilmington? She's very thorough. We have documentation of your affair. 14 months worth. Credit card statements, GPS tracking, text messages. I smiled at him. And before you think about fighting me on assets, remember, the beach house is mine. Inheritance. Premarital property. You have no claim. The retirement accounts? I've been the primary earner for 12 years. My 401k is separate. And this house? My name on the deed. Again. You can't, Pearl, we can work this out. We could have worked it out 14 months ago. Before you started screwing Ivy and my grandmother's beach house. I turned to our guests, who were watching like this was better than anything Netflix ever produced. I apologize for the drama. This wasn't the dinner party I advertised, but I thought it was important for everyone to know who they've been socializing with. Dr. Sheffield stood up. I think Paul and I should go. I think that's wise, I said. But Linda, before you plan any more events with Magnolia Moments, you might want to check with your hospital's legal team. Liability issues, fraud investigations. You understand. She understood. They all understood. The exodus was swift. Margaret Preston couldn't get out fast enough, probably already calling the Charity Foundation board. Casey and Jennifer left with their phones out, already spreading the news. Dr. Sheffield and Paul made sympathetic noises, but were clearly thrilled to have front row seats to the scandal. Within 15 minutes, it was just me, Corbin, Marcus, Floyd, and Ivy. Floyd tried one more time. Pearl, please. We need to talk about this privately. We will. Through our attorneys. Sharon will be in touch Monday. You have until Wednesday to move out. I'm being generous. Legally, I could give you 24 hours. Where am I supposed to go? I looked at Ivy. She looked at the floor. I guess you should have thought about that before, I said. Ivy? I assume you're also going to need somewhere to stay since Corbin's filing papers Monday morning citing adultery and financial fraud. I hate you, Ivy spat. Both of you. You're vindictive and cruel and we have lawyers, Marcus interrupted. Good ones. Who've spent the last 48 hours building cases that will destroy you both professionally and financially if you fight this. Or, he pulled out 2 folders. You can sign these settlement agreements. You get nothing. Clean divorces, no contested assets, and we don't report the tax evasion or the bank fraud. That's blackmail, Floyd said weakly. That's negotiation, I corrected. You have until Monday at noon. After that, we file everything. IRS, SEC, the works? Your choice. Ivy grabbed her purse. Floyd grabbed his keys. They left separately. Not even that united in their humiliation. When the door closed, Corbin let out a breath that sounded like he'd been holding it for 12 years. "Holy shit," he said. "Holy shit indeed," Marcus agreed, pouring himself another bourbon. "That was the most satisfying dinner party I've ever attended. And I once watched an appeals court judge serve divorce papers to her husband at his retirement party." I collapsed into a chair, started laughing, couldn't stop. Corbin joined me. Then Marcus. We sat there, three people who'd been strangers 48 hours ago, laughing like maniacs in my dining room surrounded by uneaten farm-to-table food and expensive wine. "We should probably eat," I said eventually. "I paid $400 for this meal." "We should probably celebrate," Corbin countered. He raised his glass. "To structural integrity, in houses and in life. To audits," I added, "financial and emotional. To competent representation," Marcus finished. We clinked glasses. Outside, the sun was setting over Wilmington. Inside, everything had finally crumbled the way it needed to. Sometimes destruction is just renovation in disguise. Floyd signed the settlement agreement Monday at 11:47 a.m., 13 minutes before our deadline. His attorney, some guy named Rick who wore a suit that screamed, "I peaked in law school," looked like he'd aged 10 years trying to convince Floyd that fighting would only make things exponentially worse. Ivy signed at 11:52 a.m. She cried. Not the pretty, Instagram-worthy tears, the ugly kind. The kind that smear mascara and make your face blotchy. Corbin watched without expression, then walked out without saying a word to her. I didn't attend either signing. Sharon handled mine, but she sent me photos of the signed documents with a text that just said, "Clean sweep. You're free." Free. Funny word for something that took 18 years to achieve. The fallout was spectacular in that slow-motion, small-town way where everyone pretends they're not watching while absolutely watching. Floyd's bank put him on administrative leave, pending an internal investigation. Corporate speak for, "We're trying to figure out how to fire you without a lawsuit." His LinkedIn went quiet. His golf buddies stopped returning calls. Ivy's business collapsed within 3 weeks. Turns out, wealthy women don't want their charity galas planned by someone who commits tax fraud and sleeps with married men. Dr. Sheffield's hospital board dropped her. Margaret Preston's foundation cut ties. Even the book club, Jennifer Walsh sent me the group chat screenshot, voted her out. Democracy in action. Magnolia Moments shut down by mid-October. The LLC dissolved. Corbin got his $40,000 back plus interest as part of the settlement. Ivy got a job at a corporate event planning firm in Raleigh. 60-mile commute. Entry-level salary. No more white Mercedes. She drives a used Honda now. Floyd moved into a one-bedroom apartment near the airport, the kind of place with coin-operated laundry and neighbors who blast music at 2 a.m. He tried to friend me on Facebook last month, blocked immediately, and apparently told someone at the bank that he made mistakes, but everyone deserves second chances. Everyone does deserve second chances, just not with the people they betrayed the first time. I kept both houses. The settlement was clean. He got his personal belongings, his car, and exactly nothing else. North Carolina fault-based divorce is a beautiful thing when you have documentation and a shark attorney. Sharon earned every penny of her retainer. The beach house? I go there every Thursday now. Renovated the primary bedroom, new paint, new furniture, burned the old duvet in the fireplace because symbolism matters. Sometimes I just sit on the deck with coffee and watch the ocean. Sometimes I work remotely. Sometimes I do absolutely nothing, which turns out to be its own kind of productive. Corbin and I have dinner occasionally. Nothing romantic. Not yet, maybe not ever, and that's fine. We're both still processing what it means to rebuild after implosion, but he makes me laugh. Really laugh. Not the polite laughter you give mediocre men to make them feel interesting, but actual genuine amusement at someone who's genuinely amusing. Last week he brought blueprints to dinner, a beach house renovation project, and asked my opinion on the kitchen layout. Not because he needed it, but because he actually valued it. Small thing. Huge difference. "You ever regret it?" he asked over Thai takeout. The nuclear option. The dinner party. I thought about it. Not even a little. You? Only that I didn't figure it out sooner. He poured more wine. Ivy called me last week. Wanted to talk. And I hung up. Marcus said any communication needs to go through attorneys. Professional boundaries. He smiled. I'm very good at professional boundaries now. Character development? Exactly. Here's what nobody tells you about scorched earth divorce. It's not the dramatic moment that changes you. It's not the confrontation or the settlements or even the signatures. It's the quiet Tuesday morning 3 months later when you wake up and realize you're not angry anymore. You're just different, lighter, like you've been carrying someone else's baggage for so long you forgot what your own weight felt like. I don't hate Floyd. Hate requires energy, and he's not worth the expense. Same with Ivy. They're just people who made choices, bad choices, selfish choices, choices that imploded their own lives more effectively than I ever could have. My role wasn't revenge. It was documentation, exposure, letting consequences be consequences. Margaret Preston saw me at Target last week, still the site of all major revelations apparently, and actually apologized. I should have seen it, she said. At the charity events, the way they looked at each other. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. You didn't know, I said. I suspected. Suspicion isn't proof, and it wasn't your marriage to save. I smiled. But thank you. She hugged me. In the Target seasonal aisle, surrounded by premature Christmas decorations and the smell of pumpkin spice everything. Small-town redemption is weird. I'm 45, divorced, living in a house that's finally just mine, working a job I'm genuinely good at, drinking expensive wine on Thursday nights because I can, because I want to, because there's no one here to tell me it's too fancy or unnecessary. The beach house has new security cameras, better ones. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I learned an important lesson. Trust, but verify. Hope for the best, but document everything. Love people, but never so much that you lose yourself in the process. And if someone tells you that you're too intense, or too much, or that your standards are unrealistic, believe them. They're telling you exactly who they are, someone who can't meet you where you stand. So you find people who can. Or you stand alone. Either way, you stand. Floyd texted last week. I miss you. I didn't respond. But if I had, I would have said, you miss the version of me that didn't know better. She's gone. And good riddance. Corbin was right. Structural integrity matters. In houses, in relationships, in life. Some foundations need to crack before you can build something better. Mine finally did. And what I'm building now? It's all mine. Every square foot. Every decision. Every Thursday afternoon at the beach watching the waves and remembering that the best revenge isn't destruction. It's reconstruction. On your own terms. With really good coffee. And absolutely zero regrets.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.